Hi, Andrew, Sarah from The Upcoming. Thanks so much for taking the time. Let me to chat to you today.
Oh,
Um, Maybe you could just kick off with a brief intro to Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, set the scene for us a bit, and particularly where do we find Rick Grimes, I guess, in terms of his emotional state, where we find him in the story.
well, it's we last Rick Grimes was last seen in a helicopter flying away from the mothership show 5 years ago. It was a CRM, which is a sort of an unknown sign or military force that he was taken away with Jadis. We don't know where he is, but we meet him many years later, or at least 5 years later. And I don't really want to say too much after that, but essentially what it is a love story. We have the brilliant Denai playing Michonne, who's been searching for Rick. She's found my boots and a phone, and she still believes I'm alive. So it's a story, a collision of two sort of people, one trying to get home and the other one trying to find the love of their life.
Thinking back, perhaps hard to believe, it all kicked off in 2010. And since then, been so many different seasons, spin-offs. What do you think it is about the show that has had such longevity and really appealed to audiences? And I guess personally for you, what is it about this character that makes you want to keep coming back and even, in this case, want to craft the story alongside Denai and the other show creators?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we always, what is the thing that sort of made it the extraordinary success that it was back in its pomp? I mean, I think it's probably the fact that everything's stripped away and you sort of discover it's a show about survival, but it was also a genre show that had real emotions. We tried to take it very seriously. So the wonderful Frank Darabont and also Robert Kirkman, who wrote this amazing comic book, always said that we don't want any sort of discovery. It's not a sort of plotty thing. It's much more about character. And I think we were very, very lucky that we had an ensemble of amazing American actors that all sort of brought it. And I think it just chimed with a fan base that are so loyal and so brilliant. And I think for me personally, I was very fortunate that they kept pulling and pushing and stretching and bending this and contorting this character into so many different painful sort of emotions that they just sort of found each season new ways of punishing Rick Grimes. And I just thought, I'm in. Let's keep it. It sort of felt a bit like Job from the Bible, that he was just always sent a bit of an emotional roller coaster. And it was fun, I mean, I got to ride horses. I got to sort of kill zombies. I mean, I'm a professional zombie slayer. That's my job.
And I guess in terms of having to slip back into the role, I mean, not just the emotional elements of the character, but also the physicality of it. I mean, in those opening scenes already cutting off his own arm and, you're really put through the ringer. I mean, how do you prepare for all that? And is it all a lot of fun? Do you have any moments when you think, oh my God, I'm back here again? This is brutal.
Well, I have to say there was one. I mean, we filmed in the middle of winter in New Jersey. And if anybody's ever been to the East Coast in winter, it's a whole new sort of level of weird, cold punishment. And I remember we started with night shoots, a whole week of night shoots, just because it's a zombie show and they're scarier at night. And I just remember being covered in blood on top of this truck, and I had wet hair. I had to keep wetting my hair down, and I had blood splatters all over me. Everybody else looked like Cartman from, everybody was in South Park with the snoods on. And then it started to snow, and I just started to cry. It was 5 a.m, and I went, "This is the worst job of my life." Like this. And then I just thought, "I'll get over yourself and keep going, keep killing." So it is physically, my knees hurt now a lot more, and I've gone gray on camera. So you do the math. It's been a workout, is what I'll say.
And of course, a really pivotal moment is the reunion. Obviously, the dynamic between you and the relationship between you is really sort of the emotional underpinning of this series. How did you approach that, and how was it working together again?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the essence of the reason for doing this. You asked why do it again? And because there was a story that was unfinished, and there were two sort of people searching for one another. So we went into the writer's room and broke this story of the story that we would want to see, and also a larger world. Basically, you know, what have the grown-ups been doing? If we've been scrabbling around for 10 years in the dirt, what have the grown-ups been up to? And so we wanted to tell a bigger story in mythology terms, but also reunite these two iconic sort of characters. And it was interesting, the moment that we did the scene, the reunion scene, the sort of everything in the air changed, and it all made sense to why we were doing it again. And it was great. You know, she's a dear friend. We had some fun. We sort of pushed ourselves, but it was challenging. It was amazing producing for the first time, and acting. You don't really sleep much.
And in terms of what's next, I mean, do you foresee whether or not, another season to this particular series? Do you see that you will return to the character again? What do you see in the future?
I never say never, but the point is, that it's got to be the right story. We've got to find a reason that's good enough. And this was the one that, Denai and Scott Gimple, our showrunner, both said, I think it deserves to be told. If there's a reason, if there's a reunion, if there are other characters in the universe that, and if there's a story that I think is strong enough, and it's a place that we haven't seen Rick in, then, never say never is my diplomatic answer.
And I mean, it must be strange for you though as well, because this role, I mean, maybe when you first took it, you didn't know how long you would be doing it, and for such a long time. It must seem a world away when you were doing Teachers, which I was a big fan of, by the way. Love Actually. Do you almost foresee maybe a return to kind of British comedy and drama and theatre after you've been, on the other side of the pond for so long?
Well, funny enough, it's my dear teenage daughter is doing GCSEs at the moment, so I've decided to certainly be around and and try and help out there as much as I can. I'm useless, I think. I sort of stand in the wings, and what teenagers don't necessarily want me to. They don't want to hear from me, but they want me to stay there. But yeah, there is something that I'm just about to embark on, actually, back in England for the first time in many years, and I'm really excited about it. And it is exactly in that tone of those shows that you've just described, and it's the sort of, I would say, the polar opposite of Rick Grimes, just to be clear. And I'm excited. Very, very fine writer called David Ireland.
Well, can't wait to see that as well. Thank you so much for sharing that with me, and can't wait for everyone to tuck into this series. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks for your time. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.